Today's guest is Miss Elona Hlatshwayo. She is the founder of Bizpreneur, and she is a young woman with experience in dynamic market in South Africa, United Kingdom, and Ireland. Her first training is in organizational psychology. She has been matching people and careers for a decade and has seen that people flourish when they are in the right jobs or businesses. After working in talent management in the corporate and consulting world as a regional leader, she went on to do her MS at the University of Liverpool and graduated with merits. She now works full-time as a life, career and business coach, and business development specialist, helping mainly startups and people who want to grow their businesses. Elona provides training workshops as well as one-to-one or group coaching programs and serves as vice chairperson of the Image SA board. She has had business challenges as well and has shared her lessons from that experience. Her passion now is helping people see endless possibilities in the global business market as opposed to replicating business models that may not work in their situation. She would like to see more people in the emerging markets running successful businesses. Without any further ado, let's please welcome Elona Hlatshwayo. Hello, Elona. Welcome. How are you today?
Hi, I'm very good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming all the way from South Africa through technology, right?
Yes.
Hi. Well, you have a very amazing profile. You're doing a great job out there in South Africa. And I just believe that women in Africa have a lot to learn from you. That's why I contacted you. And I congratulate you for all the beautiful work you're doing out there. So please share with us some of your knowledge, would you?
Thank you very much for the compliment. Yes, sure.
Thank you very much for coming. So please, can you give us a brief description of who you are and what your business is all about, please?
Okay, my name is Elona Hlatshwayo. I'm based in Cape Town in South Africa. And my first training was in industrial and organizational psychology, sometimes known as occupational psychology. And I worked in HR, in talent management for about a decade. And in that time, I was matching people with the right jobs. And this came from a premise that if you are in a job that you enjoy and you're spending 8 hours doing it, you're better for it. But if you're in the wrong career, work becomes a drag, and that spills over into your personal life as well. But I also looked at it from business productivity. When you have motivated people who love what they're doing, then overall as a business, you do better.
So true.
Yeah. Then I was using psychometrics for that, and I progressed into doing coaching in the workplace, coaching people for growth, which was for promotion, for development, moving into career transitions from junior management to senior management, just to ensure that people cope with their new roles, or for succession planning. And 6 years ago, I decided to start my own business because I was finding that in my matching people and jobs, sometimes I had to be the gatekeeper, and I kept saying, no, this person's not recommended for this job, this person's not recommended. And I saw a gap that people are not getting the right career guidance. That's why they're applying for the wrong jobs, and the cycle continues. The confidence is knocked each time we say, no, you didn't get the job. So I wanted to treat, the root cause.
Okay.
And that is part of what I'm doing today.
Great, that's really an amazing profile for an African woman, for an African girl. And you seem to have had it all. So why did you, you said you wanted to bridge the gap and to treat the problem at its root. So that's what led you to your own business?
Yes, I felt that my role was somewhat limiting because I look at people as holistic. Okay. So even if we were not going to employ them, I still felt I needed to coach them to make them more employable. But that was outside of my employment scope.
Okay, okay.
And that left a longing in me.
Yeah, so there's a human side to it, right?
Yes, yes.
Exactly.
Definitely.
You care about the people than the job itself. You wanted the right people for the right job, and that they could be happier in whatever they do. So, what are some of the obstacles or the struggles that you encountered when you started your business?
Being Black and female and young. I'm older than I look, so sometimes that doesn't work, in my favor.
Elona, we are all beautiful and young forever. Please don't tell me you're old.
No, like you'll get there and you look young, so that translates to you're inexperienced as a businesswoman. So, for example, you want to get a contract or you want to get into a meeting, everybody says, "You're so young. What do you know about this?" Yeah. So that was one of my main challenges, but also breaking into a market that was monopolized by bigger businesses.
Mm-hmm. Are there many women girls in South Africa like you doing this kind of business? Are there many coming up, or you still see this as a challenge for many of them?
I would say there are quite a number of entrepreneurs, but not necessarily in the same field as I'm doing. But a lot of women are starting to do stuff for themselves.
So what's happening? What's happening in the mind? What's the mind change? What's the shift that's making women stand up today?
I think a lot of people are unfulfilled in their 9 to 5. So the 9 to 5 pays the bills. Some people will stick with it, but they would love to do something that speaks more to their passion. And if they have that extra time and the extra opportunity, they're doing it. And then those who are even braver are leaving their jobs to go and fulfill their dreams.
Okay, great. So you are the founder of Beespreneur. What lessons have you learned from men from the time you started creating your own business up to the point where you're now coaching others? What lessons have you learned from men in business?
From men, okay.
Yes.
I worked for a large corporate bank and I coached a couple of men in senior management. And I realized that they behind that face of confidence and so on, they're just as afraid as we are. Women need to change that narrative of I'm not good enough. I'm not going to get this contract, or I don't deserve it, because our male counterparts have those insecurities, but they keep pressing on. They press forward and they say, I'm going to get it. I'm going to deserve it. Whereas I find with the women is we listen to that negative voice far too much. And a man will have that insecurity, but he'll do something about it and keep going. So I've learned that as a positive thing to take. They're very resilient and they don't always show it, that they're walking into a meeting and they're not sure. The number of confessions I've had after meetings that, oh, I didn't think I'd make it here. And you're thinking, I didn't pick that up in your body language, or I didn't pick that up at all. And I think that's a narrative that we need to change for our women.
Great point. I hardly thought about, I hardly bring forth the this kind of thinking of men, or just the feeling that they also have this feeling of not feeling enough, but maybe they manage it better than we women. We're more emotional, than I know I had one blog post telling women that you really have to learn from men things that they are more successful, not because they're more intelligent, but they just manage it different. So I think that's a big lesson you're bringing out here. So thank you so much for saying that. So what are some of the mistakes women in Africa are making when starting their businesses? Give us a couple of mistakes that we are making. Worldwide, women are making these mistakes over and over, but in Africa it's even more because we're a little bit behind. So what are some of those mistakes?
I find that in general, people will replicate a business model and not understand it. So not take enough time to understand why am I going into business? So sometimes the reason for going into business is not very clear. The process of going into business is somewhat muddy, but somewhere I do want to get into business, but we're just not giving it as much attention as we should. Not to say that starting a business is a science, because you find women with very low education levels, and they're very entrepreneurial and they're very successful. But what I'm finding in many of my clients is they have the idea and it's great, but the implementation of that becomes something else. So I think to look at another business and think that's doing great, but we also need to realize there's a lot that happens in the background, and we can never have the same business just from looking at what we see as consumers. We need to invest in ourselves. Women tend to empower others, but they will buy a product from somebody else or from other big business, but they will not take that money and invest in themselves to upskill themselves for their business.
Yes.
I'm not sure if it's the nurturing nature of women that they put themselves last, but they tend to put their businesses last as well. We forget that you as the business owner is the foundation on which the business is built. So if you are not strengthening that foundation, that business will surely crumble.
Very good point. This is, now, if everybody's listening to this, anybody this, if you don't pick up this lesson, then it is true that in Africa we just replicate businesses just to survive. And at the end of the day, we forget as well that we need to invest in ourselves, but we also forget that businesses take a while to grow, and to even see your benefit, you need minimum 5 years. So if you're just jumping into a business because you just want to replicate, we know nothing about how long the person who is successful today has taken to get there. We know nothing about their struggles. We know nothing about their financial stabilities. They may be doing 2 or 3 jobs to support their businesses. So I think it's a very, very good point. I really appreciate you saying this, because we have to start from the roots. It's true. We just replicate, and this has to stop. But then we need to start educating girls from a very young age, because it has something to do with the culture. It has something to do with survival mode. That's why we just jump and replicate. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do think there's room for change. My daughter is 10, and sometimes she's very entrepreneurial, and I think some of it actually comes from the school. She will say, I want to make something and I'll sell it, or I'm offering massages in the house and you guys must pay and make an appointment. And I look at it and I think I have not taught it to her. I'm not sure where she sees it, but she picks up things she sees and she will say, that was not good service. And I think if we nurture the girls from a young age, not necessarily as a school course, but if you see that this is the skill that the child has, stop making your child do things for free. You know, make them believe that their talent or their skill is worth something. They don't have to be 30 years old before they start to actually get paid for it, because then they have problems with pricing. They feel bad to price their products because all along they've been taught, you just braid your auntie's hair, braid your neighbor's hair, it's okay, it's free. But when that person decides to open a hair salon, are they going to be comfortable asking for a fee? So sometimes, you know, women work for free.
That's very true. That's very true. Women work for free. So what, I mean, okay, but now some of the girls have, or the mothers have no background in this. How do we pick up these girls in the middle of their lives? How do we pick them up and really educate them that they should really feel comfortable asking for more, asking for a price for whatever service they have? Because that's also related to self-esteem.
Yes. I'll go back to my point on building on that foundation. It is very important. And sometimes that foundation is even more strengthened when you look at your support system. So when I speak about build that foundation, it goes as far as keeping yourself healthy so that you do not sleep only 2 hours a day because you're chasing after a business. If you look at your business from a long-term perspective, you need to say, I'm going to be well enough, I'm going to pace myself, I'm going to work hard enough, but make sure the foundation of this business is going to be solid. And the foundation is the owner. When we speak about when are they going to get comfortable with pricing, it's when they understand, why am I in business? Because sometimes you say, are you in business for a profit or are you in business for occupation? Do I just need something to do? Is it important for me to get paid, or am I doing it as a community service? And sometimes it gets muddled up. Some people desire to have non-profit organization, and it's a give back. And some people desire to have a business, and those are two different things. But because we generally are nurturing, we start to muddle the two. And if you always know, I'm in business because I want to make a profit out of my talent, or I'm doing this because I want to see my legacy and my footprint in the community, then there's nothing wrong with not asking for a price or not asking for a fee, because your goal was never to get paid. Your goal was to have your footprint in your community. But when you say you're going to have a business and you're clear about that, then you run it as a business.
But in any case, if it's non-profit or profit, any case, any business needs money.
Yes.
You have to ask for funds one way or the other. You cannot, this is a problem. Even if it's a non-profit, you still have to be creative to make it sustainable. If not, you're there for a couple of years and you're gone again. So in any case, we still have to get this idea in our minds of really asking for whatever was it is.
And money is not a bad thing.
Absolutely not. Thank you for saying it. It's not. This culture they've made us believe money is the root of all evil. You know, I'm coming up with a book called Financial Freedom for Women in Africa, and there is a section on that. You know, money is absolutely not the root of all evil. This is the poor man belief, this limiting belief holding us back. We should really stop it.
Yes.
You know, it's
basically
the more you have, the more you can give. If I did not have, I wouldn't be sitting here giving, you know. Come on, go get money.
I agree.
Yes, and you have a book on the lessons that people can learn from businesses. What's your book about? Tell us a little bit about your book.
My business is about the steps that I took when I started my business. Remember, we spoke about women that replicate.
Yes.
I felt, don't look at me today and think I started my business last month. Yes. I sat at my desk and decided I quit and I started my business. I decided to give a little bit of insight on what steps did I take before I actually quit my job. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to say a disclaimer. Having a 9-to-5 is not a bad thing.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You know, you can have both if you have the energy. You can have 3 if you have the energy. You just need to have a plan that you're not going to have these 3 for a very long time.
Yeah. So sometimes your job is your springboard into your business. And sometimes the two are not related, and that happens. So I speak in my book about the financial preparations I had to make, the market research I had to do, the legal stuff, you know, register your business, do your due diligence. I also speak about the time I spent trying to do my business model, sampling it out, doing it for free, doing voluntary work, trying to test my idea. So I really didn't quit my job and say, oh, what am I going to do? I gave myself time. I tested. If I never get paid for this, is it worth it? Is it a business? Is it a give back? Like you say, in our field as women, and my additional thing is that in a psychology field, you're always tempted to be helping, you know. So I had to have that clarity that I'm not an NPO, I'm a business, I'm going to charge this. I also took time to study my competitors, because I think it's a mistake that some people make who say, I have this original business, I have no competitors. Nobody else is doing it.
We are not inventing the wheels here. Everything is done. No. You just need to find where it's been done.
Yes. So sometimes you're doing a custom combination of A, B, and C. Those are still your competitors somehow. So I looked at them and saw, what are they doing right? And what are they doing wrong? And where can I come in? And I think that positioned me very well. Some of the things were that I was more flexible. I was a one-man show. I didn't need to ask 20 people before I changed my business model or change my customer relationships and so on. So I looked at what are my pros, what are my cons, and how am I going to make myself competitive as small as I am. And I never doubted that. I have the qualifications, I have the skill. I don't need to have the big building to be successful.
Exactly. And you're also bringing us back to the point of replicating. You are telling people not to replicate. So no matter how much you want to do something of your own, you just mentioned you watch your competitors, what they're doing. And you ask the question, what are they doing right and what are they doing wrong? And from there, you could then have your own model. It's not a replicate, but it's something, it's your own niche in your own ways with what you understood as those things that we're not doing right in their own area. So we should be careful here. There is a fine line not to, go left to, exactly. That's a great point. Where can we find your book?
My book is on my website on Bizpreneur, www.bizpreneur.co. You basically add your email address and you will have an email for the download.
I will put all the information in the keynotes below. And you don't have it on Amazon?
No, I don't have it on Amazon.
What's stopping you? What's stopping you from Amazon and thing? What's happening?
I haven't thought of that actually. You've given me
Okay, so now let's go do it. This is the whole point, of having discussions like this is to, this aha moment. So I will be on your case. We have to see this book on Amazon, okay?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. So now the next question is, what is your hope for the African woman?
I would hope to see the African woman seeing that her business, her career, or her impact is just as real as a woman in another continent. It's just as real as an American woman and a European woman and an Asian woman.
Yes.
And there's a saying that if you want to get things done in Africa, you go through the women.
Yes, absolutely.
They are the doers. But somehow that narrative is not worldwide yet. So for me, I would like to see many more African women shining the light and we hear their voices throughout the world, because we have such vast talents, such amazing things that we can do, but we sell it to our neighbors, we sell it locally. Why not go global?
Exactly. So this is the beauty of the African Women's Economic Forum, is that we take things global.
Yeah.
It is such a shame to see the talent, the knowledge that's in Africa. And what the world sees of Africa is nothing but poverty. And women have absolutely no say, which I think it's a shame. Yeah. So let's start. This is a platform where we can expose ourselves, have events, have network events where we just connect with one another and share our know-how, learn from one another, and export our know-how. Because you sitting in South Africa, there is absolutely no reason why you cannot coach me in Switzerland.
Yes, and I currently do that.
Exactly. Go global. So, there is no reason why someone from US can coach someone in Africa and it cannot be vice versa, This is my hope, that we are present in any field that we feel comfortable in. But at the end of the day, my hope for the African woman is that she's financially free.
Yes, and I think we also need to believe in ourselves as a continent. We can speak about people believing in themselves, but the day that I have money, am I going to buy from an African sister? Or am I going to buy from an American or a European and still sing the song that let's put Africa on the map? But I myself am not doing that. So we need to start ourselves to check yourself. Are you actually supporting Africans?
Exactly. That's a good point. That's absolutely true. We tend to have this inferiority complex of buying from France, buying from America, buying from Europe. It's made in Taiwan, US, whatever. But when it comes to made in Africa, we ourselves don't value it.
Yeah, that's the thing. So it starts from home.
Yes. Now, please give us one of your favorite quotes and tell us how this quote has influenced your decisions in business.
Okay. I read a book by Richard Branson and it said, screw it, let's do it. From the cover.
Okay, girl, let's just do it. Come on, let's do it.
From the cover, I was inspired. Just that quote. I was just like, you know what? I can come up with the most amazing excuses, or I can just get it done. And for me, it is so amazing if everybody put aside the excuses and said, why don't I just do it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There is a notion of fear. There's also self-esteem, self-worth, and honestly, we can stay here, you and I talk about creating business, changing our mindset, but there are still many grassroots women that do not see the importance of this, do not see the importance of social media, do not see the importance of, why do I really care? I just want to live from one day to the next. So what do we tell them? What do we tell these women?
Everything that you've ever desired lies on the other end of fear.
Yeah.
Because when we overcome the fear, we start to see all the possibilities that we limited ourselves in our minds. Sometimes those obstacles are not even there. We preempt it and say, this is going to happen and that's going to happen. Sometimes we need to shut those voices and keep going. Exactly. And believe we deserve it.
Yeah, we deserve it, truly deserve it. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for, doing all the work out there, helping all the women. Thank you for coming up here, and I hope to see you in another arena completely as from next year. I wish you the very best, and I have just one thing to tell you. This is just a quote from Rumi, which says, you are not a drop in the ocean. You are the ocean in the drop.
Yes.
So go big, dream big, and keep shining your light.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I love your platform as well.
Thank you very much. Please invite all other women to join us, and let's take this thing forward. Let's try our possible best to help women really pick up their lives wherever they are.
Yes, yes.
It's worth it, believe me.
It must be different in 5 years' time.
Yes, it will. It will be. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
What a beautiful conversation with Miss Elona Hlatshwayo. You can find all her social media handles in the comments below. And her website is www.bizpreneur.co. Thank you for your time, and remember, you are not a drop in the ocean. You are the ocean in a drop. Until next time, I'm your host, Lillian Moller, right here at the African Women's Economic and Entrepreneurship Forum talk show. Do take care. Bye for now.